right, y'all. How many of you are excited to be here tonight? Dude, all the questions that you have had prepared for the last 4 or 5 weeks, we are about to answer. I want to invite a few people to the stage. If you could, give it up. We have Bailey Fry right here. Come on. Give it up. Give it up. Yes. Yes. Okay, next we have Micah. I'm here. Next we have Michaela Brumley. Come on up here, Michaela. I can't even see. Oh, here she is. Yeah, girl. Come on. Yeah. Yes. Okay. And now I need you to give it up. We have Paul and Keita Asbill. Come on. Bring it up here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Do we have a treat for you? What we're trying to do this time around is when we answer your questions, typically you get me and Bailey. And so when you get me and Bailey, you get 20, 25, 26, 27 years old, okay? Now you get some wisdom, you get some fresh experience. When you hear these questions answered, they come from different perspectives, and it's going to be hard for you because all you're thinking of is, man, I need to do this right now. This is how I need to be feeling right now. But you have no idea. You got a life in front of you, okay? So come on, give it up for these guys one more time. Hey, D, go ahead and throw up that first question. We're going to jump straight into it, y'all. This is, how do you tell someone you love them? Okay. You say, I love you. No, I'm kidding. It's not that easy. What do you guys got? What? What do you think, Bailey? She's not even on. I'll give it to you. 3, 2, 1.
I guess the question is, how do you tell someone? I guess in the how, like you would do it in the moment, like if you feel it, not through a text or I don't know. I think it's more personal in person, but I think you need to say it if you really mean it. I think you need to take a lot of things into consideration. The Bible talks about guarding our hearts, so I think you need to not only guard your heart, but guard the heart of the person that you feel like you love, So.
Yeah, I think you should be really careful in telling someone that you love them. That's a powerful statement, and I think it really ought to mean something when you say it, and not just say it as a reaction because maybe somebody says that to you. I think you should be really, just like Bailey said, really guarded in how you respond to that or how you express that if you start to have feelings for someone. And we're the old people. We've been married 41 years on Sunday, so.
It's awesome.
So take notes when they talk.
Yes, please. Please take notes. If you ain't got your phone out and taking notes right now, you a fool, okay? I ain't ever supposed to say that in church, but come on.
And we can tell when you're on Facebook, so there's a difference.
Yeah, some of y'all have glasses, and we can see. Okay.
Taking
Next
notes
question,
don't look like
Dean.
this.
Next question. Throw it up there. Are you or were you afraid of love? Oh, this one's deep. Are you afraid of love, or were you afraid of love?
So I think for a long time I was afraid of love because I was in a relationship with somebody for 2.5 years of my life, and he said that he loved me and displayed things that I thought were love, and that was an awful situation. And then after that, my perception of love was totally messed up, and so I think I was definitely afraid of love at one point in my life. And it took a lot of God time to get over that and just really looking, well, love is patient and kind and everything that it says about what love is, and that's not what that was. And so I think if you find somebody that fits the bill of all those things, it's nothing to be afraid of.
I think for me, in a relationship, everybody has those papers that you have like in 6th grade or 7th grade where you write out all the qualities you want in a person. And I think personally for me, whenever I think of love, like I'm thinking if this person doesn't exemplify Jesus, then there's probably not going to be a relationship that happens there. And the reason why I say that is not because I'm a pastor, because I'm of the faith, but I mean, Jesus legit, even if I wasn't a Christian, that dude was the perfect example and demonstration of sacrifice and love. And if the person that I choose to date or want to marry in the future, if they don't share those qualities, then it becomes more difficult for me to settle or, like she said, find a perception of love that was false, and now I'm hurting from it because I didn't trust God through it. I trusted the process of love.
I think I was the exact opposite of this question. I jumped into relationships 100%, and I was never afraid of the feelings or afraid of getting hurt and I did get hurt. But I would say if that's more your personality, where you're not on the scared side of, because there's some that are just more guarded, and there's some who are just let's go, let's just date and jump into this thing. Also on that side of things, just know that the Bible is what describes what love is. So when you jump into these relationships, when I was in 7th grade, I was in a relationship where we had no business telling each other we loved each other, but we did, and so you think that you have this relationship that's filled with love, but then if you take it and you line it up with the Bible, it's actually not, what the Bible says love is. And if you don't know the chapter, write it down. It's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, the whole chapter, but 4 through 8 is the love is patient, love is kind. It's in every wedding you've probably ever been to. That is true, and that's not just true for dating. That's true for your family. That's true for your parents. Me and Micah were listening to a sermon last week, and it was talking about how your relationships don't start when you're, in 7th grade and you start liking a girl or a guy. Your relationship starts with your mom. Your relationship starts with your dad, your siblings, with yourself. And so you grow up learning what love is supposed to look like. And sometimes in your house, it's not what biblical love looks like. And so take your relationships and refer them back to the Bible. And if it's not lining up with biblical love, then rethink that relationship.
Can I add something to that? Because I love what Bailey said about your family. I would say that if you're dating someone who cannot put your needs ahead of his or her own, don't waste your time. Because the truth is, when you're married, if you are not able to do that, if you cannot put somebody else's needs ahead of your own, if you're dating someone that is so selfish that they cannot do that, get out of it. That's not a relationship that you want to follow, because you have to have you were doing something over there. You have to, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with has to be able to do that. They have to be able to put your needs, just like your family does, just like Bailey said. Your mom and dad will do that over and over and over and over your entire life. They'll put your needs ahead of their own. And if you're dating somebody who cannot do that, end it and look for somebody who can. I'm telling you, that's one of the big secrets.
Well, I was 16 when I started dating this girl. I didn't know what love was. But
Yes, you did.
I was looking at love and didn't know it. But I think love is something that is like your best friend. You have a relationship, and you have to nurture that. You're going to fight. You're going to have good times and bad times, just like any relationship. But I think it's something that you have to work at. It's not easy. And if they tell you it's easy or you'll know and all this stuff, I think the first time I told Keita that I loved her, I don't know if I really meant it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but then after 41 years, I absolutely, without a doubt, I don't even wear a ring because I about tore my finger off when I was working on a piece of equipment, but it's trust. It's a commitment that goes beyond really you can say in words. And I may not have said the right thing, but I was never afraid of love because I didn't know how to be afraid of anything. So,
Yeah, like I said this last year, but I'm gonna say it again. Love is not an emotion or a feeling. Like, it's an emotion, I guess is the word. It's a choice every day. You wake up and you choose to love that person. And when you're in like the stage where it's like, oh, we just love each other, we can't stop hanging out. Like, there's a point in your life when you get married and you pass that stage. They call it the honeymoon stage. There's a point where you pass that stage, and there's so many divorces nowadays because people aren't choosing to wake up and love that person regardless of what is going on. Because chances are you guys being both at your best is rare. When when one of you is doing really good, the other one's struggling. And when the other one's doing really good, the other one's struggling. And so there's rare times when you're both on like this awesome high and you're both doing really good. So when it says for better or for worse, that's true. And so you have to love people through sickness, through health, through everything. And that's what love is. Love isn't this emotion you feel when you feel like you want to kiss a guy or like you want to spend your life with that person. So keep that in mind. It's more than just this feeling.
All right, D, next question. How do you help a friend who's looking for a relationship when you know they shouldn't be? Ooh, somebody loves their friend enough to ask this question. You guys got anything? Let me ask this again so to slow it down for you. You want to help a friend because they're looking for a relationship when they shouldn't be. How do you help that friend?
tell them not to do it.
I think the natural reaction is you don't want to tell that friend because you don't want to lose that friend. And I think that's the best part is you need a friend who's going to be real with you. And I know that you can name off a few people on one hand. These are the people I know I can absolutely be real with, and I know that they'll take everything I'm saying. You hear the term with a grain of salt, but you know that they're going to understand the reason behind it. Now, when somebody really wants to be in a relationship, they're not going to listen to their parents. They're definitely not going to listen to you. And so the best way, and the reason why I say that is because that's the natural tendency nowadays is like, forget what the parents say, forget what the friends say. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do because this is my life. And so you then hurt yourself, but then you have to understand, I want to help a friend out. And the only thing you can do in this moment is to be absolutely, completely honest with that person. And with that honesty, you got to trust that they understand why you're saying it. And here's the thing. If you really, truly say that that's a friend, they're going to hear you and they're going to understand you and they're going to take it. No matter what you say, they could hate it, saying the whole process of it. But naturally, you have to be the person to be like, you know what, man, I'm only saying this because, and it's not gossip. If it's gossip, that's when you're messing up. When you're like, oh my God, he said this or he's doing this. Like, you don't need to be with this guy because of this. Like, they're looking out for the individual because they love you. So I think that's the reason why they're saying, I want to help a friend out because they've got some stuff going on in their life. They've got this, family issues, their own personal issues. Why do they want to drag a guy into this? They think that this guy is going to come in and fix their problems, or this girl is going to come in and fix their problems. Man, they probably just need Jesus, right? I think that you have to be the friend that's going to say, you know what, I will step in and say something, but I'm not going to lose a friend over this. And I feel like that's part of the process.
I think another thing is like just to empower them in where they are. Like Paul in the Bible. He talks a lot about embracing the season you're in and the singleness that you're in. So when you're single, there's more things you can do for God when you're not, having a person or a family that you also have to take into consideration. So this time in your lives when y'all aren't married, like, you guys could change the world. Like, you guys could start revival in your school. You guys have the potential to change the world. But we get caught up in things like relationships and friendships and whatever else, And so just know that there's this season in your life where God wants to use you and use that singleness and that time that you're in to speak to others. And then I would also say if your friend does end up dating regardless of what you say, be there for them, be their accountability partner. Don't shun them after that, still love them because they're going to need that, especially if things go wrong or.
I would add, I don't think that that's unique to teenagers. You know, we face that as adults too. A friend of ours starts to date somebody, and you know, you're not sure if that's a good choice or something. And so, I think, the, you know, you guys are all in places now where you're really starting to make decisions that are life decisions, and one of those is going to be the level of honesty that you share with people. And so, I think, you know, you look at that question, I'm thinking, okay, so if they're looking for a relationship, but you know they shouldn't be. So how do you know that? I mean, I think what Micah said at the beginning is so true. If you really think they shouldn't be, then you have an obligation, if you're really a true friend, to sit down and say, hey, listen, I'm really concerned about this for this reason. Whether it's the person or whether it's your friend, that you're concerned because of the, you know, whatever's driving your friend. But at the bottom of that is how do you handle that relationship piece that talks about honesty and what you share with your friends, to me.
Alrighty, throw up that next question. I have a crush on a guy, but my friends don't like him. They think he's not right for me. What should I do?
Listen to your friends. Listen to your friends.
That's pretty much the opposite of what the question before
Yeah.
was. But I would say, you know, in just talking about that last question, in this question, let your friends speak into you. Even if you're like, I don't really agree with that, don't get mad. Like, they're just looking out for you and they love you, you know, so don't make it this big thing where it's like, well, they said this and they don't believe that. You know, take it to heart and just say, I understand why you're saying that. I get why you're saying that. And listen to your friends, like you said.
But more than that, listen to your mama and daddy, because if they have a problem with somebody that you're dating, they love you unconditionally. They want absolutely nothing but the best for you. I promise you that, even though it may come across a different way, it may be hard to hear at times. There is nothing that they want more than for you to have a productive, happy life. They don't want that's what they want more than anything. So if they don't like the person that you're dating, listen to why. Listen to the reasons that they're concerned about. Friends are important, but your family's much more.
Yeah, it could definitely potentially save you from a lot of heartache. And I know I've been in that position where all my friends were like, this is not the right guy, and people I looked up to, this is not the right guy, and you're just like, no, but I feel like I was just going to be so good, and I'm going to give him a chance. Don't do it, because your friends know you a lot better than this potential person does, and you need to listen to them.
Run.
Yeah, it's extremely important. And this is one thing I wanted to say is you have to be smart enough to look for patterns. And when I say you have to be smart enough to look for patterns is there are going to be, if you think of somebody who has never been, and just take this, if someone that has never been married, and you've been married for this many years, and you know marriage, you know how difficult it's been, and I know that none of you know marriage, but kind of think on what I'm talking about. Somebody who's never been in marriage and they've been through relationship after relationship after relationship, and then they've failed and they've done this and they've done that, and these people who are coming to give you advice, you have to be wise enough to be like, who are you? You giving me advice, and you ain't never been in this situation before in your life. And so if someone comes up to you and says, don't date him, and you're like, you've never been in a relationship, you nerd, okay? Please don't, right? I'm kidding. But people will try to invest into your life and they'll say that this is what you need to watch out for. You need to make sure you're not doing this. But you have to understand patterns of things in other people's lives where people who do try to invest into you, at least give them, if they have credit behind why they're giving you advice, man, that's a much more validated reason to understand why they're saying that. But if someone doesn't have any experience of ever being in a relationship and they're trying to throw this stuff down in front of you and you're thinking, that's very smart, I understand that completely, but you're like, they've never been in a relationship. They don't know what this feels like. They don't know what I'm saying or what I'm feeling. So I would say be aware of patterns and just be wise enough to notice them. Throw up that next question, D. What do you do if you say you love someone but they don't say it back? How many of you have actually done that? All of you probably have, okay? Or you're just crazy enough to be like, I love you. Oh my God, I love you too. Why did I say that? Right?
I think it's okay if they don't say it back. Like, would you rather them say it if they don't mean it? Like, just because you said it? Or would you rather them wait until they say it back, until they mean it to say it back, you know? Maybe my idea is wrong, but, like, I think if I told someone that I love them and they didn't say it back, I'd be like, okay, they're not there yet. That's okay. Like,
That's exactly where me and Bailey were. Whoa. Love you. No, it wasn't.
yeah,
Listen,
but I didn't say
okay,
it to you.
listen. Okay, I did say it first, but look, after being married and together, I had always asked her, like, when did you know that you loved me? And she said 3 months into our relationship when I saw you around your family. And she went into the details of how I was around my family. I love my family. And I was like, she's like, what about you? And I was like, dude, it took me like 6, 7, 8 months before I knew. And it's like, oh my God, that's ruthless. But I didn't know, like, and this is what I was talking about previously is, you know, you have these bad relationships that you've constantly said, I love you to this person. And you said, I love you to this person, and they've all broken your heart. And so in my mind, I was like, I'm saving myself from the hurt. I'm not going to say I love you to somebody that I don't know if I truly mean it, because I've been saying it all this time. And so I was the first one to tell her. It was actually here in Tahlequah. I took her out to a place, and I was super romantic about it. Pulled up a table and put a lamp on there, and I was like, I just wanted to let you know that I love you too. Right? I love you. And she was like, oh my God, you're amazing, right? I don't know if you actually said that in your head, but I just imagined it because I was so awesome. But no, but I think Bailey's completely right, and I support you in anything you say. I think she's right. If someone doesn't say it back, man, don't be offended and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this personal, because they should be sharing the same feelings as me. But you don't know what they've been through. You don't know their background. You don't know their life. Maybe love to them was a dad saying, I love you, but he walked out on them at the beginning of their life, and they've never seen their dad again. And so you being offended by them not saying I love you, you just don't know their story. So I would say Bailey's totally right. If they don't say it back, man, consider it a good thing. That means that they actually care about their relationship enough to see how far it's going to go.
I think when you say it, you better back it up. So if you see the action before anybody says I love you, then you'll know it's true, because it takes a lot
That's
to
really
love
good, honey.
somebody. Write that down. Somebody write that down.
That's
You gotta,
actually a goodie.
you know your mom and dad loves you and the people that are in your life because of their actions.
Yeah.
But if you see somebody, and how many know people, I love you, I love you, I love you. I mean, you get sick of hearing it, right? I don't say I love you much, but every day for 41 years, well, maybe not the first, yeah. I've always said I love you, because that might be the last word they hear. And I think actions are huge. All right, I've said enough.
All right, D, throw out that next one. How do you know when you're choosing the right person? Or probably the question is, how do you know when they're the one?
You know, Paul and I get that question all the time. We do. People ask us all the time, how did you know? And here's the truth about us. We started dating when we were 16. Quit it. When he asked me to go to the all-sports banquet at Tahlequah High School. That's when we started dating.
What?
And stop it. And we've always said that the truth is we were so young and dumb. We dated for we were 16, I think, when we started. Stop it. And we got married when we were 19. And is that right? Yeah. Okay. And honest to goodness, we loved each other. We really did love each other, but we didn't really know. And I don't know that you really know, really know that you would fight for that person no matter what. We didn't know that. The truth is, we didn't know that until our middle son was born. Till he was born is when I knew, and that was how many years in? Like Matt was born 2 years after we got married, and then John was 3 years after that. So 5 years into our marriage is when we really, when I knew, I'm going to tell you one thing, I'd fight anybody for this man. There ain't nobody
Let's go.
taking him away from me. And it was over, it was because, you know, we had a son born whose lungs collapsed. We were doing the youth group at that time here at this church. We were doing all kinds of things, and then our baby was born early and his lungs collapsed, and he had to be life flighted. I mean, they used a styrofoam cup to, I told my Sunday school class that the other day. Anyway, for an oxygen tent for him. And so Paul was, we didn't have any money. We had no money. I mean, we had no money. We were pulling pulling money out of baby food jars. We didn't have enough money to eat or anything. The tires on our car were so bad that people were having to drive him half the time. And if he didn't work, he wasn't salaried. If he didn't work, we couldn't even pay our rent or anything. And so he would get up super early. He'd come to see me in the hospital in Tahlequah. He'd go and work all day, and then he would drive to Tulsa and sit with John and with our baby until, you know, and then he would do it all over again for 3 or 4 days. And that's when I realized the depth of the love that I had for him and the depth of the love that he had for me and for our family, that he would sacrifice, back to that whole sacrifice thing, somebody that's able to put your needs ahead of their own. He's done it our entire 41 years of marriage. So I would say, are we at the right place? Yeah. So I think he said your actions. I think that's right. You see the actions of that person. And if you don't see the actions, if you don't see them backing up the words with actions, man, it's not the right person. It's not the person that's going to lead you to a lifetime commitment. And that's what you want, because that's what, man, there's nothing like that. I know that on my deathbed, he's going to be standing there beside me, holding my hand. I know that. He's going to be, you know, my sister one time was going to leave her husband, and, you know, they'd struggled a little bit, and she called me, and she was like, I'm leaving, I'm done. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, that man will be standing beside you on your deathbed. He's going to be standing there no matter what you do to him, no matter what you ever do. He's going to be standing there. You better think twice before you leave, because that's what matters. Who's going to be standing there with you when things are tough and when you really need an answer? That's what matters. It's those people. It's that guy. It may not be the best looking guy on the high school campus. Honey, I didn't mean that at all. I think you're adorable. Oh gosh, I'm gonna stop talking now.
All right, Dee, throw out that next question. All right, what do you do when you're dating someone and your friend likes him or her? Oh, what do you do if you like your friend's boyfriend or girlfriend? Oh, dang, y'all need to get out of that relationship right now. All right, we got a lot of questions ahead of us, so let's keep these short.
I would say, out of respect for your friend,
Yes.
if you like your friend's boyfriend or girlfriend, out of respect to your friend, I would, no, don't do it. And, you know, if, you know, it might end, and if it does end, you know, maybe pursue that. I don't really know. I
Like
think
a
there's
year later?
like a long time later, because you don't want to end a really good friendship for somebody that's
good.
not, you know, gonna be there. Because friends are very important, and you don't need to let dumb boys or dumb girls get in the way of you and your friends.
Y'all, my sister told me she liked my boyfriend one time. So I just about slapped her, but it's fine. We're still sisters.
She about took off her hoops and said, girl.
No, it was fine. But still, it's one of those things you just don't say. Like, she could have thought he was cute. That's fine. Just don't say it. Like, yeah.
You can say he's cute, but you can't be like, I mean, he's cute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was more of like, I like him too. Yeah, well, I'm dating him, so. Anyways, let's move on.
All right, next question. Why do people make sex a big deal? Well, all right.
gonna answer
I'm
that
going to
one
leave that to
first.
one of you guys.
There's two ways this question could be taken. It's like, why is sex such a big deal? Or it's like, why is it such a big deal, you know? I'm just going to say that
Yeah,
it
go
is
ahead.
a big deal. It is a big deal. And it's something that you need, you know, to take into consideration when you're in a relationship that, you know, is progressing and you're kissing and that kind of thing. It's a big thing, you know, and that's why God says to save yourself till marriage. I can tell you from experience, that's the best way.
Yes.
It's just, I can't imagine having, having, like, me and Micah's wedding night. Like, I can't imagine have ruined that, you know, before. And if you have, God can still renew you. God can still renew that, and you can still make that commitment. When you say, why is it such a big deal, it's because it is. It's a big thing. It's not something that you're just like, oh, he's kind of cute, like, or oh, she's kind of cute.
Yeah, now it's kind of become recreational.
Yeah.
Sex is kind of like, I'm dating this person, therefore I feel like I deserve to have it with this person.
And that's what the world is pushing.
Yeah.
That's what Hollywood's pushing. That's what everyone in the movies is like, why aren't you having sex yet? You know, why aren't you doing this? And so I just think, out of experience, take religion out of it. Like,
It's a gift.
yeah, it's something you save for your husband.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that it's like, I sacrificed this for you. Like, this is all of me. You're the only
Yeah.
person that's ever had all of me. How romantic is that, you know?
We'll talk
How-
about actions. Somebody who loves you, they're the person that says, I have waited all this time for you. I have disciplined myself to say, you know what? The person that I married deserves this, okay? And that is love at its best in action. And like Bailey said, I know we're talking to a generation that sex it's not foreign to you. You see it, you got screens everywhere, and you have family members, and you have this and this and this, and it's all around you, and it's not foreign to you. You know what this is, you know what it's all about. But now it comes to a point where it just lines up with your values, and if you value God, you value sex. And God says, like Bailey said at the very beginning, God didn't even want this to happen. He was like, I wish you were more like Paul. I wish you would be the person who conserved everything and that you solely devoted your time to me. But if you decide you want to go ahead and do this thing, then I will give you some regulations, some rules. And that's when he said, by marriage, this is how it should be. And so it is important to know context of Scripture, where Scripture has said, we shouldn't even be here right now. Why do you think in Ephesians 5:3, I know this because Bailey says it all the time, it says not even a hint of sexual immorality? Why? Because when you're in a relationship and you get stuck in temptation, what we talked about a few weeks ago, that's the thing that drives you crazy. That's the thing that makes you want more. And so when he says not even a hint of it, he's like, I know what this could potentially do to you. I know that it could tear you away from me. It could pull you away from the purpose that I've given you. And now it comes down to, I value sex because God values sex. And God says sex is good, but it's good under his circumstances, and it's a healthy marriage, you know. And like Bailey said, you know, if you've gone past that line, you can't just beat yourself up and be like, two things. Well, number one, I've already done it, so I might as well as keep going. Or number two, I've done it, I've ruined myself. I feel, how many of y'all remember last year when Michaela Brumley came up here and she had a perfectly white dress on and she was about to marry Justin Dunn? And we spray painted black all over that dress. And that's the image of, I feel dirty, I feel used, I feel like there's this stain on me that will never leave. Man, if you don't know the power of God, you know that God can heal you and God can move you forward.
So just know that sex is the most emotionally connecting thing you can do. That's the deepest form of communication you have to someone else on this earth. So when you give that to someone, that baggage before you're married, that baggage goes into your marriage, and you carry that with you, and you carry those thoughts and those images, even though you don't want to. We're visual people, and so it affects more than you think. You know, my friend had only done it once. You know, I don't know how it is for people who have done it more than that, and but I just want you to know that there is redemption, and God can restore you if you have, if it's not too late. But know that going forward, there's things you're going to have to get over, and there's things that you're going to have to allow God to help you forgive yourself for. And I think that's the biggest thing. So
RD, throw up another one. I've never been in a relationship. Is it as stressful as people make it out to be? I want to know who asked this question. You're my best friend. Gosh, I understand this on a personal level. You just like look at people and you're like, why do y'all act this way? It's like, we're fighting all the time and they're stupid and I hate their guts. And it's like, why do you want to hate somebody? Dang, like I just want to go have a burger with somebody, right? It is stressful.
I dated a guy from like 6th grade to like 8th grade. Like I was one of those long relationship type persons.
Ooh.
We broke up like 13 times. And like
13?
11 of them were like the last like 2 months. And so one time I came in to where my youth pastor was, and I was like, me and Ben broke up again, and this time it's for good. And he was like, yeah, I'll believe that when pigs fly. And like he said that to me, and I was like offended, you know, but we did get back together. So, so it's like, you know, when it's stressful, it's like when you're just fighting with someone, like there's no like, I don't know, when you just keep fighting, you keep breaking up, you keep fighting and breaking up, like there's no point in staying in that. I think it's like, you know, I don't know, too far
You're
gone.
wasting your
Sorry.
time. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not even a relationship if you just are hating the other person.
Yeah.
And I think personally, and I'm trying to keep this short, but it is stressful. Why be in a relationship if you can develop yourself? When you get into a relationship, you're now carrying the emotions and burdens and baggage and weight of the person you're dating. So when they bring their stuff into you, you're like, I just got myself into this, but I love this person, or I really like this person. I want to invest in this person. But then you feel like you have to fix that person, and then you make an obligation that I'm going to make this person better. But it's like, that's not your job, right? And it's not your place to do that.
Yeah, I think that's when it becomes stressful, is when you're putting your identity in them, when you're supposed to be putting that in God and getting your what do you call it? Your confirmation and your validation from God and not that person. That's what makes it stressful, because you're looking to them to call you beautiful every day. You're looking to them to give you all these things and that you need, but really it's God that's supposed to be filling those things, and that person can't do it, so it's stressful on them and it's stressful on you because you're not getting it 100%. So, yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to save my comments because I think there's another question that maybe.
RD, throwing up. How do you know when you're ready for a relationship?
That's not the one I was talking about.
I actually hit a point in college where I had dated a guy in high school for like 4 years and we broke up. And then I dated a guy for like a few months in college and it just didn't work out. And that summer between then and when I met Micah, I read this book called Captivating. If you girls haven't read it, it's a really good book. And then there's a guy one called Wild at Heart. And I read both of them. And it was in that moment that I realized what I just said, is that like that person was never meant to carry the burden that you place on them. God is. And everything we do stems out of the initial sin that happened with Adam and Eve. The first thing Satan said to Eve when she took the apple, he made her question her identity. And so as girls, we constantly question our identity, and that's all rooted back to that very first moment with Eve. And it talks a lot about that in the book. So Eve questioned, and he said, "Did God really say that she couldn't have that apple? Who is God? Did he really say that?" And so it makes us, need that validation and need things from a guy when they're not the ones that can fulfill it. So I think once I realized that God was all I needed, and it didn't matter if I got married. It didn't matter if I found someone. Like, I wanted to, but if I didn't, I was okay with it. Like, I was okay with just serving God for the rest of my life. That was when I feel like God was like, okay, I'm preparing you because you're about to meet this man that I have planned for you,
I think, we had 3 sons, raised 3 sons. And our counsel to them always was what Bailey said: look to God first. And if this girl, because ours were all boys, so if this girl can meet the criteria for the person that you're looking for, then maybe it's a relationship to explore. If not, don't waste your time. Just don't waste your time, because why? I mean, there's just no reason to do that.
I think you've got to be able to love yourself as a single person before
Yeah.
you can try to love somebody else in a relationship. Yeah, because, and also, I don't think that God is going to send you the right person until you're the right person for that person. So, I think you need to
Slaying.
really work on yourself, because I got out of a really trash relationship. I know I keep going to that, but it devastated me. There was a lot that went on in that was awful, and I was completely broken. And I knew that before I wanted to get into another relationship, I had to really work on things like she said. Validation's a big one. Like I read something in a book. You can't try to fill a God-sized hole with a person's words, because it's not going to fit. So I think you've got to be okay with yourself before you try to pursue a relationship.
All right, D, next question. Does dating require a certain age? Is it okay for a 15-year-old to date a 25-year-old?
No.
Well, besides the fact that that's illegal.
That is
Illegal.
highly
Next
illegal.
question, D. Is it bad if you go to church and your boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't go? Oh, is it bad if you go to church and your boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't go to church, even if they're saved?
Yes. Yes.
Explain yourself.
Don't do it, because either you're going to end up being like them or they're going to end up being like you. And more times than not, the person that is going to church ends up being more like the person that isn't going to church. And it goes to that part in the Bible where it talks about being equally yoked with somebody. And that is super, super important. And missionary dating does not work.
What does that mean?
That means like, oh, I can save him or her. I know, like, I see potential, and like I can bring them to Christ, and they're gonna want it. Like, no, because they're gonna go because you told them to go, and because they know that your parents don't let them date you unless they go to church, and they've got to want it for themselves. And yeah.
It's back to that somebody being able to put your needs ahead of their own. If they care about you and church is important to you, then they ought to be there with you. And if they can't even do that, don't waste your time.
RD, next one. If you keep asking God to forgive you for a sin over and over, will he keep forgiving you for them? Well, I think if we're talking about relationships, I think we know what we're talking about in this question. Temptation leads you to do a bunch of things. Of course, he's going to continue to forgive you, but the motive isn't to keep doing it just because he will. I can't go into detail on that question because it really is plainly as is. God wants to forgive you. He'll forgive you for looking on your screen and doing like pornography and stuff, and he'll forgive the person who killed someone last night. Like, he's gonna forgive you, but its motive isn't, I'm gonna keep forgiving you, so just keep doing it. Like, it just doesn't sound like God. You know what I mean?
That's not asking for someone for forgiveness. Like, say you slapped your friend and you were like, oh, I'm sorry. But if your sorry wasn't like, I'm not going to do that again, like, I'm sorry I slapped you, but I'm probably going to do it again. Like, that's not an apology. Like, that's not asking for forgiveness. So when you're asking for true forgiveness, you're asking with the intentions that you're not going to do it again. And then if you do, you ask for forgiveness again, but it's not forgiveness
It's got to be meaningful.
unless the intention is, I really am going to stop. Like, I really am sorry that I didn't do this.
Yeah. All right. We're getting low on time, so let's go to the next question. What is the best way to put God in the middle of your relationship?
Pray together, go to church together, read your Bible together. That puts God in the middle of your relationship.
Really does.
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, boundaries in terms of, like Michaela was saying, know yourself, love yourself. Don't let people just step all over you or tempt you into doing things just because you have feelings for that person. Have boundaries. God loves his people when they're being faithful to Him. And so when we're faithful to knowing the boundaries that God has set on us, like again, Ephesians 5:3 says, not even a hint of sexual immorality. If God is saying that, He values your purity. And so, like Bailey said, boundaries is a big deal.
Yeah, have the strength and the empowerment to, if things are going too far and you both know it, to be able to say, okay, let's take a step back. You know, if you can't be alone in a room together without, touching each other, then don't be in a room together alone. Like, ask another friend to be there. Ask your parent to keep an eye on you. You know, that's the kind of boundaries that's going to keep making sure that God's there. Because I know how it is. I know how it is. You get down and you're hanging out with your boyfriend watching a movie, and it's hard. It's hard to, if their parents aren't. Say my parents were always real strict. But say you go to the guy's house or the girl's house and their parents don't care what the heck you do. That's hard. That's hard to stay within the confines of a Christian relationship because it is tempting. So.
D, yell out for me how many more questions we got. I think we can do this. Y'all want to stay a little bit later just to hear these answers? All right, next question. Y'all shut up. Are looks everything?
No.
Of course. Hollywood, baby.
No.
Okay, it's about the heart. Okay, next question. Why do people think they need to be in a relationship at all times?
Validation.
Yes. Someone said
We
it out
talked
loud. I think
jobs.
y'all know this
We're
answer.
learning.
We're answering these questions for you
Yeah.
already. Next question. How would you tell if someone really likes you a lot and you do too? I mean,
Kind of like what Paul said, if their actions are
their
showing.
actions are showing.
I think that, well, I guess when you're like in middle school and you're not so forward, usually they're mean to you. Like if someone likes you, it's because they like pick on you. That's like how we kind of start as kids. Like that's how we show that we like each other. And then as it gets older, you get more confident.
Next question. Do boys ever realize you have feelings for them?
No.
They don't realize
Paul-
No, there's
anything.
something-
No.
Paul, tell me. Tell us.
Guys are dumb.
Micah had to be told. I flirted with him for a whole
She
night.
had to say
his
the
friends
same
were like,
thing.
yeah.
I like you.
Yeah.
I go, really?
Micah's friends were like, dude, she's flirting with you hardcore. He's like, no, she's not. They're like,
I was
yeah,
like,
she-
bro, I just met her. She's really cool. This is a true story. She was macking on me the whole night. I mean, look at me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But no, she really was. She was being super cute and stuff, but I was just like, man, she's really nice to me. Wow. I don't know if we ever know, but I think our boys know that the girl is okay. Our
your
boys know.
friends. Listen
Was
to
that the
your
last question? One more. What is it like having a boyfriend or a girlfriend? If you have not listened to one question that we have answered, then you need to understand that having a boyfriend or a girl. Okay, real quick, we're gonna try to sum this up in the next 3 minutes. Just an answer from each of us to answer this question. What is it like having a boyfriend or girlfriend? My answer is, it's like taking care of a dog. Now, in a relationship, in a marriage, it's different. It's like taking care of a beautiful home. I love you. When I say why I say that, man, that sounded rude. Now that I hear that out loud, I really sounded bad. The reason why I say that is because you're having to pick up after them when they poop everywhere with their emotions and all their stuff, right? You're having to clean up after their mess, and when they're being a good boy, you feel like you have to be like, good boy, you're doing so great. And if you don't, they're gonna go and poop on something else. Like, I feel like the reason why I say that is because it's a lot of responsibility. I think that's what I was trying to say. I didn't mean to say poop so many times, but I feel like it's a lot of responsibility. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think the fun part of it is you're like getting to know someone on a deeper level than you've ever known anyone else, like other than your best friends. You're getting to know why are you the way you are? Why do you do things this way? And so the fun part of that is like just to do that. The hard part is typically when you start dating, well, even when you're married, you're not emotionally stable, and together on one page. So you're trying to figure out how you work together emotionally, and so that part gets a little confusing. And even through marriage that happens. So yeah, I think it can be really fun and exciting. When it starts to be not fun, that's when it's like, is this really worth it?
My dad always told me when I was younger, every date is a possible mate. And he would always tell me that. And I think when dating, like the purpose of dating when you're younger, I guess, is like finding what works and what doesn't work. Like with guys, like, oh, I really liked this, but I really don't like that. And oh, this is a good guy. But I guess a better analogy I was thinking of would be like watering a plant. That's like more PG.
Yes.
Like if you don't
That's
water
good.
the plant's gonna die. So if you don't work on your relationship and give it the attention that it needs, then it's gonna die and not poop everywhere. But yeah.
I love it.
Can I skip and let Paul, because I want to say something about something different.
Okay, go for it, Paul. Hit it up.
I've cleaned a lot of, no.
What was it like having a boyfriend or girlfriend?
Really, guys, when we were young, girls were, right? And we discovered girls, and they were like, whoa, we're still dumb. But having a relationship with the opposite sex is really an amazing thing, because my wife, since I was 16, has absolutely been my best friend for a lifetime, and everything I do is through that friendship, and it's just awesome. I mean, did I answer? It's great having a girlfriend. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So I just wanted to go back to the sexual purity thing for just a second, because because it is. I mean, we have a 16-year-old granddaughter and a 14-year-old granddaughter, and a bunch that are coming after them. So when I look out here, I think about them, and I think, I would say to them what I would say to you and have. Beth Moore says in one of her studies, she says, I'll wait. She says you may be one brave decision away from the most important step in your destiny. And I've never forgotten that line, because I think it is so absolutely true. The decision to remain pure until you're married is a big decision, and it may be the most important decision in your destiny.